Hi, folks. My name is Tim Conti from Cloud Trusted Advisor. Today's presentation is going to be around Microsoft Teams Voice. So if you have a current phone solution, you're looking to potentially migrate to Microsoft Teams Voice, or you're on any kind of voice solution and you're using Teams and you want to figure out how to leverage the telephone voice component for Teams, you are absolutely in the right place. So today's presentation, I'm going to get into the agenda here in a minute, but by the end of this, you are going to be a Teams expert, whether you want to be or not. Just kidding. Very hard to be a Teams expert. We're Teams experts, and we've been at it for 20 years. And even then, we learn something new every day. So I'm going to share my screen, and we will get started. So here is the presentation that we're going to cover today. Demystifying Microsoft Teams calling. So just a real quick bio about me so you know who's presenting and understand where I fit in. I'll move my picture down here. I work with these fabulous individuals on a daily basis. They're all part of my consulting team, but myself, Tim Conti, I have been in the industry for about 28 years, 15 of which working specifically in unified communications and contact center. I worked directly for the Gartner Magic Quadrant leaders that you're evaluating or that you may have heard of if you're researching Teams Voice. I worked at CDW where I met most of these individuals you see to my right here or to my left. And we worked together for many years in a kind of a SWAT division within a value-added reseller called CDW, where we did all things as a service. Our goal is to make non-biased recommendations for our clients, and we specialize in everything as a service. We're experts in not only cloud, but on-prem. So we understand both sides of your equation, what you're migrating to the cloud and what you're migrating from, predominantly on-prem. In some cases, you might be moving from cloud to cloud. We focus on providing a vendor-neutral expertise with a focus on cost savings and tech adoption. So a bit about our expertise outside of phone systems. I'm not going to read all of these to you, but as we mentioned earlier, anything as a service related, we have expertise in everything from security to managed services to cloud, mobility, contact centers, you name it. So the learning objectives for today, as I mentioned, will make you a Teams Voice expert. You actually won't be, but you'll know enough to be dangerous and probably enough to evaluate whether or not it's the right fit for you. So we're going to review the evolution of Microsoft Unified Communications. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. We're going to talk about the licensing requirements to go to Teams, which is very important. We're going to determine which options are best based on your specific requirements, because everyone's a little bit different. And we're going to demystify direct routing and some other delivery architectures, and we're going to compare the vendors in the market. So today's agenda: Microsoft Voice, understanding licensing, calling plans, PBX features, and choosing the right architecture. So Microsoft Voice past and present, I'm going to rip through this pretty quickly, but back in 2007, for those of you who were in the industry then, it was called Office Communicator. That was their first Microsoft solution. That became Link, Microsoft Link in 2010. That then became Skype in 2015. And the products matured as they changed the names, and clients would compare those Microsoft solutions with Call Tower, Dialpad, Zoom, Avaya, you name it. Those are the other players in the market and who most folks were evaluating. Past and present again, then the Office Communicator, Link, and Skype, from a voice perspective, really took a backdoor. Microsoft was completely ignoring the market. They did not care about voice. It's a basic functionality, and that really then launched these other providers, a lot of them into the stratosphere. You look at Zoom now, they've got millions of seats in service, helped by the pandemic. RingCentral is a $2 billion company. These folks really capitalized on a market opportunity. Then what happened? The COVID. That's what happened. Microsoft Teams became extremely relevant, even more than it already was, because when users had to go to a home-based environment or remote environment, they were no longer in a physical office, they were being sent remote. They deployed teams, or IT managers, IT directors, business owners deployed teams remotely. But then what do you solve for the phone system? The phone system is traditionally in a data center or in a closet at your corporate office. You close the corporate office, really not a need for that phone system anymore. And that really launched the Teams voice movement. Teams has always been around for a long time. Microsoft's been around forever, right? But when you start to look at the other market opportunity that's to enable voice for Teams is really what launched this. And I'll show you some figures in terms of coverage that they've gotten in a relatively short amount of time. It's truly remarkable. So then Teams 2020 became the de facto standard for voice for a lot of businesses, large and small. And then you look to the current. Now, what is happening in today's environment? It's a bit different. All these providers, which are competitors to Microsoft, are finding ways to work with Microsoft. Instead of competing with them, they all have a solution that solidifies the Microsoft Teams solution. And I'll get into that in a little bit more, but every single one of these providers, every single one of Microsoft competitors are also Microsoft partners now, which is really good for you, the end user. It allows you to have more choice. More choice means better competition. Better competition means lower price or cost to you. Here's what I talked about in the growth a little bit, and it's really amazing. There's 380 million paid commercial Microsoft Office seats, not the voice, but just seats. 270 million active monthly users for Teams, 80 million of which are voice users that are using the public switch telephone network with Teams, as well as VoIP, and then 12 million active Teams PSTN users. This makes them larger than all the other competitors combined. You know, if you were to grab Ring Central and Zoom and Call Tower and 8x8 and all the others, Vonage, they wouldn't equal the amount of seats in service that Teams currently has. And the reason being is when clients use a tool for collaboration like Teams to do chat and to do video, to do all those things, the voice just gets pulled into it. It's just a natural thing. So clients have adopted Teams. They're not going to move from Teams. And so the easiest thing to do is build a voice solution into Teams. And that's what we're going to talk about today. On to the next slide. So getting into good stuff here. Just muted myself, sorry. Understanding Microsoft licensing. You almost need a little bit of a PhD here, but when you know it, you figure it out. And if you don't know it, call us and we'll explain it to you. Microsoft predominantly has a couple of different license types, the most common being E3 and E5. The misconception is you get free voice with E5. That is untrue. So let me take you through this. The components that you need are a phone system license. This is what you need to voice enable Teams. Phone system license. Audio conferencing is included, and then you need a calling plan. You need those two things. And when you look at the phone system license, if you're on an E3 Microsoft plan, without a calling plan, it's $8. If you want a calling plan allowing you to make free unlimited local long distance calls, it's $15, pretty competitive. So if you're on E3, the first thing you need is a phone system license. I'm going to stay in the E3 column here just for simplicity. And then in addition, you're going to need a calling plan, which is Microsoft Direct Pricing. So come in these pooled minute plans, which are $8, $12, and $24. And then when you look at your estimated cost for E3, you can look at as high as $52 to $68 per user per month. It can get pretty expensive. Now, when you look at E5, you don't need the phone system licenses included. Audio conferencing is included, and then you need a calling plan. So the solution can be pretty cost effective with that calling plan. So the information in the market that is out there is that with E5, you get voice for free. That's not entirely true. You get a free phone system license, but you still need a calling plan. So on average, without negotiating, keep in mind, a E3 voice solution can run you as high as $36 a month per user, and an E5 can run you as high as $57. Now, these don't include what your ability is to negotiate, which negotiating with Microsoft, I don't know if you've done it, it's not easy. So that's where we come in, and more on that a little bit later. So hopefully now you understand the Microsoft licensing and how that works. Now we're going to skip into bringing PSTN calling PSTN is public switch telephone network. That's the good old-fashioned voice network. You have a couple of options, really technically 5 ways to use Microsoft Teams voice. There's some that are more common than others, but I'm going to go through them pretty quick because this is important, because a lot of customers don't think they have choice. They think they just buy E3, E5 and add a voice license and they're done, and a calling plan and they're done. That's not the case. There's other ways to do it that are either easier or more cost effective. One is you can buy everything from Microsoft. Go to the Microsoft website, set up your calling plan, pick your phone license. Hopefully you're a Microsoft customer already, but you might not even have direct access to pricing anyway. You might have to go through one of your resellers, but you can get it all through Microsoft and do everything. This one is extremely challenging for a lot of people because you're on the hook. If you have a full IT team, a technical team dedicated to this, then sure, do it yourself. And you can deploy a Microsoft instance, manage it, maintain it, be responsible for the patching and updates and everything. That's fine. It would be a bit cheaper, but it comes with a cost in terms of manpower that you have to assign to this to make it work. The other option is the do-it-yourself direct routing. Do-it-yourself direct routing is really common. There's the direct routing vendors that are on the Microsoft webpage. We represent all of them. And we basically, this solution works directly with Microsoft. You have direct routing partners. The advantage of this is it's pretty easy to deploy. It's also somewhat cost effective, but you're doing it yourself. So actually, no, it's not easy to deploy. I've skipped to the next one. To do yourself is very complicated to deploy. The managed direct routing is very easy to deploy. So in the DIY, do-it-yourself direct routing, you're responsible for maintaining what we call the SBCs, where the session border controllers. Think about that as, kind of mini phone system, so to speak. You need all this stuff, managed SIP trunks and all of this to make it work. Highly recommend you don't do this. DIY direct routing is very complex and very time consuming. Managed direct routing, with or without a PBX, is a simple monthly fee from the provider, and all of the Microsoft support, PBX, all of that is managed for you. It takes you out of the phone system business, which most people want to be out of that, and you rely on the direct routing vendor. A couple of somewhat new solutions that came on board that are pretty exciting are Operator Connect, which is similar to direct routing, but you choose an Operator Connect vendor that basically integrates into the Microsoft cloud. So there are a lot of advantages to Operator Connect. A lot of customers are choosing Operator Connect. We can help you find the best Operator Connect vendor based on your requirements in as little as 60 seconds. You can book a call with our team and we'll run you through who the best options are for you. And then also embedded dialer. You download an app, the Teams client. There's no need for licensing. The call paths with the third-party provider stay the same. And it's a soft phone that is overlaid or put into Teams. So if you're familiar with Teams, when you add services similar to Zoom, a new icon just pops up, and there'll be one for a dialer, which is just your phone, and your phone calls are then going through your PC or your laptop. We really like Operator Connect, embedded dialer, and managed direct routing as solutions for most customers, not all, but most. All right, so we want to talk a bit about call center as well. If you don't have a call center, you can skip this part. Go get a drink of water, grab a sandwich, come back. But Microsoft is heavily investing in getting into the call center. With Microsoft PBX, you get an auto attendant, call queues, music on hold, shared voicemails, all that's included. But where it lacks, there's limitations is around real-time reporting, skills-based routing, digital channels like chat and email. So if you do have a call center, you need to be concerned with Microsoft Voice. There are some limitations on the platform, and we currently don't know. We've heard rumblings about Microsoft rolling out a call center solution, but they're not quite there yet. All right, Microsoft dial plan considerations. So a couple things here. When you work with Microsoft directly on the calling plans, it changes all the time. So we put some links in here. First and foremost, just know when you work with Microsoft directly for voice, you have limitations on the service level agreement. It's 99.9, which equates to a few hours of downtime per year, but that's a pretty weak SLA. They also are lacking coverage into certain countries. So if you're a global organization and you're looking to replace, say, an Avaya PBX phone system globally, you need to be really careful with where Teams offers voice services, because the biggest challenge is I see customers move to this, and then there's 3 or 4 countries that aren't supported. So you're still stuck managing your old environment. You're stuck with the equipment, the licensing, and you don't want to do that. You want this to be a clean break, clean switch from provider A to provider B, update your system, and you don't want to have to be running parallel systems, because all your cost savings and whatnot really go out the window. So if you want to get techie here, this is what a direct routing architecture looks like. So you basically have your Teams users here, number one. They integrate into the Microsoft Cloud, and then in here is the network, so to speak. And there's PSTN to the outside world. And you connect your own PSTN trunks, and you're up and running. And this is a typical what's called direct routing, Microsoft Direct Routing infrastructure. And again, you can buy this directly from Microsoft. Operator Connect, this is a snapshot directly from Microsoft's website. These are the Operator Connect vendors. We love this solution because it's very easy to turn on voice, but not be held to Microsoft's very weak SLAs or service level agreements, which also, too, I didn't even bring up. Oh, by the way, with Microsoft, if you buy voice from them, who do you call for support? There's no phone number on the Microsoft website. There's no one to call. You're on your own. But if you go with these Operator Connect vendors, some of these names will look really familiar, like AT&T. We represent all these players. Then you have a throat to choke, a hand to shake. You're someone you can call into 24/7 should you have an issue with your voice environment. So this one's busy, and feel free to message us and drop a note in the comments for a copy of this presentation, because this is on YouTube. But just some high level Operator Connect versus direct routing. We get this all the time. I'm not going to read these to you, but it's really dependent upon your situation on when you would use one versus the other. And then embedded dialer, I mentioned, this is what it looks like. So this is the dialer that's embedded into your app. So your app, again, would be an app that resides on your desktop or laptop or on your smartphone. And you'd have a phone icon app, and we can embed a dialer solution into Microsoft Teams if you don't want to consume Microsoft directly, if you want to use a third party. In this particular case, it's actually embedding a Zoom client into Teams, which is pretty cool. This is actually a solution that we sold to a Berkshire Hathaway company. The reason being is they weren't comfortable with Microsoft Voice, but they were a Microsoft Teams shop. So they wanted to be in Teams, look and feel in Teams, but they were really comfortable with the Zoom phone solution. So the 4 options for voice in Teams: managed direct routing, bundled PBX, managed direct routing, Microsoft PBX, Operator Connect, and embedded dialer. And just kind of shows you a snapshot and kind of some key areas to focus on for each of these particular solutions. We don't have enough time today to go into each of these, but you can kind of see what the pros and cons are of each of these approaches. And again, the key is we don't want you to be experts on this. We're experts, but there is a Microsoft Voice solution that's the right fit for everyone. There absolutely is. Some of them are third party, other ones aren't. Some are more cost effective than others. Some are easier to support and consume than others. It just depends on your situation. And we're experts at matching up customer environments with the right solution. So Microsoft feature gaps. So here are some of the things. Now, this changes. Give Microsoft some credit here. They've ignored voice for a long, long time. But Teams, they've poured a lot of resources into Teams. And they've finally started to roll out some voice features that businesses required. But they are still missing some things from Teams. Multi-level auto attendant, which is your virtual greeting. Hunt groups, multi-level hunt groups as well. A lot of compliant type stuff. If you're a customer that needs to be compliant in your industry, say HIPAA or PCI, this is important. They're missing a lot of compliancies. Faxing, a lot of providers offer built-in faxing. They do not. SMS, texting to a business phone number, they don't offer that. Outbound dialer. So just a couple of things that you may or may not need, but just understand that. So who does what? What vendors work with Microsoft? How do we evaluate them? What to look for? with managed direct routing, bundled PBX. These are the players here. Dialpad, Ring Central, Manage, probably look familiar. Those are some solutions for you. And when you look at managed direct routing, here's a diagram. I love pictures, by the way, but here's a diagram from Evolve IP, company based in Philadelphia, that's been in the space for a very long time. They've made this investment in the voice network. So all you need to do is connect Teams to the Microsoft Cloud PBX, and then it managed direct routing. Evolve handles all the phone system for you, which again is an advantage. So Evolve IP is just one vendor that's in this space, and you can see that the pricing is very competitive. Option 2, manage direct routing with a Microsoft PBX. This is what it looks like. So it's all Microsoft. Their advantage is you're just consuming from one provider. But again, as I shared earlier, there needs to be a little bit of caution in working with the Microsoft PBX Direct in terms of support. This is how it's laid out, how it looks. Operator Connect, we talked about a bit, and this is kind of what the network looks like, super technical. So if you care about this stuff and you geek out, then here's your diagram. But Operator Connect is a great solution for a lot of organizations to consider. And then lastly, embedded dialer. These are some of the embedded dialer vendors: Zoom, CBTS, Ring Central, LogMe, and Masergy. So again, this is the dialer that's embedded into Teams. And again, let's circle back again on the calling plan pricing models. There's two types of users: a metered user, unlimited. Unlimited is unlimited local long distance calling, most times including Canada. Or you can have a metered call if you're really a low usage shop and you're not using the voice phones much. A metered might make more sense. And then you have concurrent call pass, both pay per minute or a pooled group of minutes. So what is the right solution for you? These are the 5 things we ask customers every single time to start. There's much more than this, but this is a great place to start. First of all, do you have international locations? Why is this important? The coverage varies against all these providers. And oh, by the way, a lot of them will tell you that they have coverage in a country when actually it's limited, and that's important. We actually ask the question behind the question is, do you have international locations? Yes. Where do you need support? These countries. We talk to the providers on your behalf, and they say that they're in India and China. Well, and it turns out, they're not really. So that is just one of many landmines we help you avoid. So we understand exactly what providers have in terms of international coverage. What PBX features do you require? Do you have some analog devices that you need to support, like a door, a buzzer, an elevator, anything that's probably connected to your phone system today, and you might not even know it? That's very important. What's your preferred disaster recovery strategy? If the phones are critical, which we're finding phones are less and less critical today with messaging and the other things. Also, just people using mobile phones or cell phones. But DR, if you're a heavily regulated environment, and DR is important, there's a couple of different strategies there. What SLA do you need, and what support options? Are you okay with email only support, calling and emailing Microsoft for support versus being able to call one of these vendors to support your environment 24/7? And then lastly, and the most importantly, do you want to be in the PBX phone business or not? Most organizations don't want to be. Don't go out and build all your own Microsoft instance and build your own phone switch and do all that. It's a waste of time, a waste of money, unless you have the resources to do it. Even then, I would still question it. So key takeaways. The core capabilities of Teams include messaging, video meetings, file sharing, and now calling. Clients must purchase an enterprise licensing calling plan to voice-enable Teams. Customers who want to enable PSTN calling in Teams can do so through Microsoft directly, through do-it-yourself direct routing, or through a Microsoft voice partner. A couple of good options there. And the marketplace for Microsoft is growing with a variety of architectures coming out every single day. The point being, there is always a good one for your environment based on what you're trying to do. So lastly, offer to you, if you'd like to talk to myself or anyone on my team, we are experts at helping clients voice-enable Teams or evaluate Microsoft Teams Voice or evaluate any unified communications provider First and foremost, we have industry expert level research that's going to save you time by not having to go on the web to search. Most clients type something into Google. That's where they start your search. You can go down a rabbit hole. All these vendors say they're the best. They're not all the best, but there is one that's best for you. We help you find that one. At a minimum, if you'd like our research report, just drop a comment in there saying, please send research report. And my team will send you a copy of 27 key evaluation criteria. What CRM integrations do these providers have? Are they domestic? Are they international? Where can they support you globally? What types of calling plans they offer? What's their differentiation? What's their elevator pitch? You're going to get from A to X really quick with this, being able to shortlist the providers. In addition to this, we can schedule a free 30-minute consultation where I will plug in your requirements for a new system. And my proprietary software will spit out the top providers for you based on your inputs. So for instance, if you tell us that you have a location in the UK, you've got locations throughout the United States, and you have another location in Germany, we'll plug that in. If you're a Salesforce shop for CRM and you want to integrate your phone system with Salesforce, we'll put that in there as well. If you're interested in integrating with Microsoft Teams, all these things will be inputted, and we'll actually then deliver a report based on your requirements that'll shortlist the entire industry in 60 seconds, saving you 6 weeks worth of time and headache. And I guarantee you there's headaches involved here. The minute you start talking to these providers, they're going to put you on speed dial. They're going to have a customer SDR rep or an inside salesperson that's going to try to convince you to jump on a call with one of their account managers. You don't need to do any of that. You can come to us and we'll manage this entire process for you from A to B. But at a minimum, just to show you where the value is, I'm going to use all my free tools in the beginning to help you make a good decision. Then in the end, I think you'll want to work with us. But if you don't, that's okay too. If you want to go at it alone, you can do that. We won't be offended. But I know after you see what our team's built, our years of expertise and our years of implementing these systems from the very beginning, and saving you time, ultimately saving you money by helping you negotiate it. That's key. And then lastly, we're with you after the sale. So once you sign, most of these providers will churn their account managers on you right away. That nice person you met in the very beginning during the sales process tends to disappear after the first 6 months, either so they can go find another one of you, or because they moved on to another opportunity. We're the constant. So we don't change, and we have direct access to all of these providers at an executive level, and that's not changed over years. So I think of it as support on speed dial. You still would call the provider directly for issues, but think of us as a very strong escalation path. We can get you 3 rings up above to the heads of support for all these providers because we have relationships built over many years. So that's what I have for you today. Again, lastly, if you'd like to take us up on the free expert research, drop a comment in and say, please send free research for Teams, Microsoft Teams, or whatever you're looking for. Any of these providers listed on here, or if you want to book a 30-minute consultation call, just drop in the comment. I'd like to book a call with an expert, and we'll go from there. Thanks, and appreciate you listening. We'll talk to you soon.